Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you all for being here this afternoon as we recognize a very nice gesture by the Jacobys toward the Boy Scouts of America. And we want to first begin. I have the pleasure of introducing an Eagle Scout. And I know Eagle Scouts are a big deal. And Willie Williams is our Eagle Scout who is here this afternoon to honor us by leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Willie?
Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Two. You may now be seated.
Thank you, Willie. I particularly want to welcome all of our guests and dignitaries that are here today, and I'm going to try to go through and recognize just a couple. Did Glorious Johnson make it? I thought Councilwoman Johnson was going to be here. I know Matt Shirk from the Public Defender's Office. Matt, where you at? Thank you for being here. And Matt had the distinction of being a Webelow Cub Scout. Right? Good job. Hey, sometimes you get pulled away to other duties, you know. Jim Overton is here. Jim, where are you at? Okay, Jim. And Jim is still an adult volunteer leader in the Boy Scouts, so we want to thank you for that. Also, Judge Gerald Joe Flatt, the U.S. Circuit Judge, 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. Judge, we particularly appreciate all you've done. He's an executive board member of the North Florida Boy Scout Council. And Judge, I've heard you speak about the Boy Scouts, and I know what a passion you have for this organization. So thank you very much for being here as well. And folks, I have to tell you, crime is down in Jacksonville in historic, literally historic numbers. Part of that is a result of the Boy Scouts and what's going on in scouting in Jacksonville. I can tell you Jack Sears came to me, I guess it was 2 years ago, and said, John, can you help me to show the impact of scouting in boys' lives, and look at some crime statistics and that sort of thing. And so we put our heads together and we found a way, and I believe the numbers, and I'm just speaking off the top of my head, but I believe the numbers were something like 14% of our youth in Duval County have some contact with law enforcement. When you looked at Boy Scouts in our community who have contact with law enforcement, it was like 0.001. So that was an amazing, amazing testament to the work being done with youth in this community. So to all of the scout leaders in this room, and I ask all the scout leaders, and we have several who are JSO police officers, were Boy Scouts, but first I just want to see the scout leaders. Would all the scout leaders just please stand? Okay, thank you very much, because I got to tell you, I love scout leaders because they make my job easy. I like that. I like that. We also have with us today the mayor of Baldwin, Stan Totman. Stan, thank you for being here this morning. So look, without any more delay, I'm going to introduce Jack Sears to introduce our special guest, and I should also mention Barry Allred, who is here, and we appreciate Barry and all that he does for this organization as well, and I'll let Jack speak more to that. Jack?
Good afternoon. I have the distinct privilege and pleasure to serve as the Chief Executive Officer for the 17-County North Florida Council of the Boy Scouts. And what a great day it is not only for the Boy Scouts, but for this entire community that we call Jacksonville. And I would be remiss if I did not recognize our Chief Law Enforcement Officer, who is a pillar of leadership in working to reduce crime in our community, but also sets a great leadership example just as a human being. Would you join me in recognizing John Rutherford, our sheriff? You know, to the men and women that wear uniforms in scouting and out, I salute you for what you do. And I got to tell you, you guys and gals that are wearing blue, we're working hard to make sure that you don't have to work real hard. We're trying to keep them out of your way so that, you know, make your job a little bit easier. Eagle Scout rank is the highest rank that a young man can earn in scouting. Less than 4% of those who enter scouting achieve that rank. With us today, we have boys and men who have earned the rank of Eagle Scout. If you are an Eagle Scout, would you please stand and be recognized? Eagle Scouts, wow, check it out. Scouting is growing and thriving in our 17-county North Florida Council. Our mission is to provide ethical, value, decision-making activity that builds character among young men. We believe that good citizenship activities that scouting encompasses helps to accomplish that, and a scout promises to be physically fit, mentally awake, and morally straight. There are over 6,500 volunteer leaders engaged as mentors and volunteers working with the young people in our community. We partner with 500 plus faith-based and civic-based organizations who own and operate the scouting program, and we work in partnership with them to offer the program. It is an exciting day for our organization in this city as we recognize a special contribution that helps us to expand and to assist youth who might not have the resources to be scouts. We refer to our work in the center city of Jacksonville and the urban area, and in particularly subsidized housing communities, as ScoutReach. I am now pleased to welcome a past president of the Boy Scouts of America and currently involved in helping us to give every boy a chance to be a scout, Barry Allred, for the next part of our presentation. Would you please welcome Barry?
Jack. It's my pleasure to be with you today, and I want to personally thank each and every one of you for being here today and making a personal statement about your support of scouting. And to these young men who are currently active scouts, thank you especially for being here, because what the scouting program represents is a life-changing experience for you both now and for the rest of your life. I want to extend my personal thanks to Sheriff Rutherford as well. Sheriff has been a continual long-term supporter of the scouting program in Duval County, not just today when the lights are on, but he supports us ongoing, and he supports members of the JSO who are interested in scouting and who want to give their time to the advancement of our program. So, Sheriff, thank you for that. Thank you. Today we are excited, very excited, to be able to recognize and celebrate a $1 million gift to the North Florida Council Boy Scouts of America. And as Jack mentioned, this gift will be targeted towards our ScoutReach program, which is the delivery of the scouting program to the urban core of our city, primarily to the public housing areas. This gift is due to the generosity of Robert and Monica Jacoby. They are part-time residents of our community, living in Ponte Vedra Beach, but full-time participants in supporting a number of values that are community-wide in our city. And when we approached Bob about his participation in scouting, he was no less than totally enthusiastic. But I'll let you draw your own conclusions about his attitude about scouting after you hear his remarks. The gift that they have presented to the ScoutReach program in the North Florida Council will be used to provide uniforms for these young men. It'll be used to provide each one of them with a bound Boy Scouts of America handbook. It'll be used to provide them transportation to and from scouting events. It'll be used to allow them to participate in field trips and camping activities, which are the heart and soul of scouting. Outdoor experience and the blessings that it brings and the lessons that it teaches are the core of what scouting is all about. And this gift will provide them with that opportunity. It will also provide support for the professional staff that administers this program in ScoutReach, and oftentimes these gentlemen become mentors to these young men as they move forward in their scouting experience. Today we recognize Bob and Monica Jacoby for their commitment to scouting. Their gift will go into and form the foundation of an endowment that will be focused exclusively on funding long-term delivery of the scouting program in the urban core of our city. So their gift does not dissipate over time. The earnings from that gift will support this program for the next 100 years in Northeast Florida. Thank you, Mike. Now I'm going to call on Bob and ask him if he'd like to make a few remarks. And again, you draw your own conclusion about his passion for scouting. Bob?
I had a podium back when I used to go to work, and they were always too high for me. I couldn't see over them, and I had to give the welcoming thing to the annual meeting of shareholders. And what I used to do is I took the minutes from the year's meetings, the board minutes, and I put them on the floor, and I'd climb up and touch them. I could see over them all the time. Some wise guy raised his hand and he said, "Mr. Jacoby, the law says there has to be minutes of the board meetings at every annual meeting, and I never see them." I said, "Well, for God's sake, I'm standing on them. Why don't you come up and look at them?" So when I see a tall podium, I always think of that. Some people have asked us about this gift to Jacksonville, and the questions they usually have are, why the Boy Scouts and why now? Well, I was a Boy Scout when I was a kid, earning my Eagle Badge in 1942. I loved it, worked hard at it, and I went to the Boy Scout summer camp for 3 years in a row, called Novi Bosco, North Urban Boy Scouts, which are the northwest corner of New Jersey. Got all my merit badges there. It was primitive at that camp. We roughed it and we learned a lot. And what it did was to toughen me up and prepare me to go into the Army, which I did 10 days after high school. Well, starting with that love for the Boy Scouts, and it was a love, it still is. This winter, when Dan O'Davis and Jack Sears told me there were a lot of inner city kids who could not join the Boy Scouts because their families did not have the spare funds to pay even for the handbook or uniform, I got outraged and decided that Monica and I would pay to give those kids the opportunity to grow their minds and bodies and enjoy themselves by becoming a Boy Scout just as I had. It's that simple. Well, what does a young man get out of the Boy Scouts? I'll tell you, and I must tell you that the boys here from the Boy Scouts didn't propagandize me on this. These are all my own words, so it sounds like I've been briefed, but I wasn't. I think by being in the Boy Scouts, the young man gets a feeling of self-respect and self-worth. He gets a feeling of self-confidence and a sense of duty and loyalty toward his fellow scouts and the community. He becomes a man of skills and a lover of nature. Every young man should have that opportunity, and a lack of money should not be allowed to stand in the way. So, why are we doing it now? This year is our 57th wedding anniversary, Monica and I, and so now is very important. We don't look to the future to make decisions. We're making them now because we want to be around to enjoy them with you. Thank you.
You know, one of the things that the JCCI study on murder in Jacksonville decided, it said one of the major challenges facing Jacksonville was how do you raise young boys and girls to become nonviolent young men and women. And I propose to this community that the Boy Scouts of America is the way to do that. And Bob and Monica, with this gift, you will make that more possible than ever before in this community. Thank you very much.
You know, it's not very often that we have an opportunity to celebrate a gift of this magnitude, so we're going to do a little celebratory observance here, and we hope you'll enjoy this.
I remember having to go and cash in the soda bottles when we were young. Boston, New York.
As a commemoration of this event, there's a couple of things we wanted to do to recognize the Jacobys. The first is to, come on up boys and join us. The first is to present them with a plaque that they may want to put in their living room, their bedroom, or the garage. But it is a plaque that includes the 100 Year of Scouting celebration poster, and it also includes a sentiment here at the bottom, which I'd like to read to you. Thank you for endowing the scouting program in North Florida as we begin our second century of serving youth, 2011. Present to you. The other recognition that we want to make, and all of you will understand the significance of this because all of you are affiliated in scouting with some way, either currently or have been at some point in your time. All of you who have the scout uniform on, stand up and show me your patch. Show me your membership. Show me where you are. This is what identifies the origin of those who are involved in scouting. And patches are a big thing to those of us involved in scouting. Thank you very much. You can be seated. What we are doing today is changing the name of the North Florida Council ScoutReach District to the Robert E. and Monica Flynn Jacoby ScoutReach Division North Florida Council, Boy Scouts of America, and every young man who joins scouting in the ScoutReach division will wear one of these patches on his shoulder. Bob, I'd like you to place the patch on the shoulders of these two young men for us.
There you go.
That concludes the formal part of our ceremony. Bob and Monica, once again, thank you very much for your generosity. It will carry this program forward in perpetuity. Sheriff, thank you for participating and coordinating with us.
Our honor.
And thanks all of you for coming. We stand adjourned.